Good morning, Devils fans. It is game day, and it is also the 20 game check in, as we are technically just a hair under or a quarter of the way through the season, and we'll be a bit over a quarter of the way through the season after tonight's game. So, we do play the Philadelphia Flyers tonight at 7 o'clock. I will do that preview here in just a moment, as I want to go ahead and start off with just that 20 game check in. How are we comparing across the league? What do we look like in the usual metrics that I look at in almost all my preview videos, check ins, all that stuff? So, the not advanced or any really analytical stuff, just straight up, what do the standings look like? Well, we're sixth in the Metro, but we are fourth by point percentage, so that's a bit better. However, we are the first losers as we are the top team in the East by points percentage that are not in a wild card playoff position at all. We know how we've been trending lately, at least these past couple games, and we know how some of the teams above us have been trending, including the Philadelphia Flyers. So there is still plenty of reason. I would say there's all the reasons to be optimistic, especially as we dive into some of these underlying numbers, to say, yeah, we probably, give it another handful of games or so, let things shake out, and we should be right back in that playoff position. And I think as the season moves on, pretty pretty hardly in, or not hardly, very much entrenched in a playoff spot. No worries, no risk of falling back out of one. At least that's my take, looking at the numbers, how we've been trending, and all that stuff. So, what do the numbers actually say? Most of these are going to be percentages, not the actual raw numbers, but some of them are. Top, the one everyone usually goes to, just for an indication of are you pushing play in the right direction, that would be Corsi. We are second in the entire NHL, behind, of course, the Corsi Kings themselves, the patter of Corsi and analytical stats, the Carolina Hurricanes, as you will hear, who are above us in a lot of these metrics, but their systems and just how good of a team they are kind of allows them to really boost their numbers in a lot of these areas. They're kind of in a similar spot to us where they're not quite getting the goaltending they want, hence why, while they are in a playoff position, it's probably not as good of one as they were expecting coming into the year, especially with all the upgrades they made. Next up is going to be Fenwick. I like to always compare that with Corsi. Just, yeah, you're making shot attempts. What are things getting blocked? What's actually getting on net? Yada, yada. Well, we're third in the entire NHL there. Once again, behind the Canes and the Kings out west. So second in the East. Very good. We are, again, for those, maybe if this is your first video or anything like that, Corsi, Fenwick percentages, it's just what are you putting towards the other team's net versus what is getting put towards your net. Sometimes I give those raw totals over, you're 54%. But what does that actually mean relative to the league? Well, second and third, respectively, in these two categories. Okay, well, what about actual shots? What's actually getting to the net? Not just attempts, not just things blocked or not being blocked or deflecting away from the net. What about what's actually hitting the net? Well, you would feel like we're doing worse. Well, compared to second and third in the NHL, yeah, but we're still eighth in the entire NHL, third in the Metro. I believe there's another team or two in the East out of the Atlantic ahead of us, where the Flyers and Canes are ahead of us there. So it kind of ties into tonight's matchup. Flyers, skaters get a lot of pucks on net. They have their shortcomings as well. We'll get into that, but they do get shots on net. We are eighth in the NHL there. So nothing crazy, but definitely not bad by any means. Now here's the stat that I'm sure is not going to be surprised. What about actual goals for percentage? Not the expected goals I'll be talking about in a moment, but what's actually going in the net. Now all of this is 5-on-5. So we know what been doing on the power play. We know that's come back down to earth slightly, but we are still crushing it in that area as well. And we know the 5-on-5 numbers have picked up in the most recent stretch. However, in the whole season, the 20 game aggregate, the actual goals for percentage, we are 30th in the NHL. The only worst teams are the Ducks and Sharks. That would make us worst in the entire East. As far as actual goals for versus goals against, what's actually gone in the net, not great, right? Okay, so we know we've been getting a little bit unlucky, and I'll talk about that in just a moment as well, but actual chances, expected goals, how likelihoods, so because we know we aren't getting the best saves, and we know some goalies have done really well against us. So you kind of take out the goalie factor, and what do our chances just look like from an expected goal standpoint? Well, we're fourth in the entire NHL. The only team out of the East ahead of us being the Carolina Hurricanes. That's really good. We put up a lot of high danger type chances. We don't get a lot against. Just putting pucks on net. Some of those are low, a lot of those are medium, some are high. Just taking that full cumulative total. And this is all from Natural Stat Trick. Different websites are going to rank us slightly differently. I like Natural Stat Trick just because of ease of access, all the different numbers they give you and everything. And obviously, if you were to track that individually, you might also get different numbers, which is why you should take a lot of these analytical websites as a whole, look at a bunch of different ones, try and track them versus historical numbers, who actually tends to be the best. From what I've seen, Mika's model is the best one out there. Again, I use Natural Stat Trick just for ease of use in my case. Okay, so that's actual expected goal for percentages. That is putting an allotted number on a chance and, adding those all up essentially. What about just raw scoring chances for and against? So just low, medium danger, just don't give an actual value to any of those, just raw numbers. We are first in the entire NHL. You take how many scoring chances we put up versus how many scoring chances we have against us. Low, medium, high doesn't really matter. Just all of that cumulative, best in the NHL. That's what we do, baby. From what I've seen, we basically stack medium danger chances. That is Jack Hughes' specialty. Timo Meyer as well, really. A lot of our guys. We have a lot of guys that love to stack the medium danger chances. So that's why we kind of ran away with it there in the NHL with first. So let's look at just high danger, right? Those are the ones that typically go in the most, you would say, although we have a very good conversion rate on the mediums. High danger chances for percentage, fourth in the entire NHL. High danger goals for percentage, so what it's actually going in the net, 24th in the NHL. Again, that disparity of shooting percentage luck versus goaltending luck from our end and the other team's end. And talking about the luck stack, PDO, we are 31st in the entire NHL, tied for 31st in the entire NHL. Only team worse than us is the Sharks. PDO is basically adding your shooting percentage and save percentage. Year over year, by year's end, teams basically aggregate to an average of 1.000. Teams obviously fall above and below that year to year. But if you take a full A2 sample, you go years over years, typically this is a good indicator of, are you getting lucky on a shooting bender or a goaltending bender, or are you getting left out to dry by your goalie, or is your shooting just not going in? Well, we are tied for second worst in the league in that area. That is because we have the second worst save percentage in the entire league and the 27th worst shooting percentage, our second to last, worst save percentage, 27th worst shooting percentage. You get the idea. We're not doing great there. Those are trending, well, at least the shooting percentage is trending up. The save percentage is somewhat trending up, I guess. It depends on who's in net, really. VTech continues to not do so well there. Akira's been doing a lot better. That's why a lot of double hands are calling for Akira to come in. Speaking of the goalies, well, goals saved above expected per 60, right? So you have, obviously, if you're playing more games, you might be able to stack, or it kind of works out. So on a per 60 basis, ranked in the entire NHL, out of 69 goalies, nice, Schmidt is 48th in the NHL, and VTech is 58th. Kind of tells you where we are at on the season. Now, Schmidt has had a really, really rough start. It kind of tanked him out pretty badly. More recently, he has been doing better, so that's something to look forward to, but that kind of explains the season. Our skaters are doing very well. The defense does give up a lot of high danger chances, and I talk about this a lot, but they don't really give up a lot compared to the league. It's fairly middle of the road. It's just, at least in VTech's case, basically all of them seem to go in. That's kind of where we're at. We have a team that is forward group that is doing great. And I'm going to say defense as a whole again. Forwards and defensemen together. A defensive system for how we're playing. Our skaters move the puck in the right way. We put up a lot of chances against the other team. We put up a lot of shots against the other team. A lot of those shots are very good chances of going in. It's not just like we're peppering from the points. Generally speaking, over a full season, that would bode well for a team. And that's why I'm very optimistic still. Can we figure out the goaltending, or can we outscore our problems with a healthy team? Probably. The other part of this is that's a full 20 season. Jack has missed a handful of games. Timo now as well. Nico. And that is still where our stats are looking like. If we are fully healthy, we get Tierney out of the lineup, keep Lazar in, figure out what we're doing with Smith, because he's been doing great lately, but I just don't see where he fits in on the forward lines if we're healthy. I don't see where he fits in on defensive pairings if we're healthy. So we'll see how that works out, but plenty to be optimistic here. All right, we're about 10 minutes in. That's a 20-game sample. We have a game tonight. what does it look like versus Philly? Well, they are on the downtrend. They were playing very, very well. Hot start. They're still in a playoff spot. They're still doing pretty well, but the actual underlying numbers will tell you they are trending downwards. Their goaltending has not been that great, so something we could take advantage of there. Their power play is one of the worst in the leagues. Their penalty kill is, I believe, top 10, right at the 10th position. So it's up to you how you want to really take that battle. Yes, we should, even with our not so great penalty kill, if Akira's in net, hopefully, be able to weather a one-to-one special team storm, and that should work out for us, especially given the fact that we just have a lot more talent on this team than they do. But they work really hard. They play a very structured game under Torts. They are doing a lot better than you would think, given the count on a lineup, but I don't think it can be undersold what Couturier has done coming back in. A lot of their younger guys are playing very well. This is a team that, is doing good, but they just don't really have the depth or the high-end talent to carry them through a full 82 games, which is why they are trending back down. Their forward lines really do push play very well, top to bottom. Their defensive pairings, though, is kind of where they are struggling a bit. So if we can get our transition game, rush offense going and can just really cycle through our lines, I think this is a team we could really potentially hem in. Their defensemen, just when they are being pressured, do not do a great job of getting the puck back out for their forward lines who are doing well to really keep, in this case would be us, hemmed in. So that's really what we're going to have to take a look at. Who gets possession off of the faceoffs and can get the initial play into the other team's zone, because how these teams have been playing, how Flyers have been playing, when they can do that and they can get the puck in our end in this case, they've done a very good job of keeping it there and getting chances. When the puck's been in their end, not as good. However, for us, we do actually really well transitioning out of our zone and keeping it in their zone. That's why our numbers look so good across the league. So, should be an interesting game. I hate the Flyers, South Jersey, living here for the past decade plus now. Flyers is my biggest matchup. Got free tickets, so might be going to a Flyers-Devils game over at Wells Fargo Center later on this year. So we'll see, if depending where life's at, if I actually make it. The plan is to do that, though. But that's kind of where we're at in this preview versus Philly. I don't want to go too in-depth here because, well, we just don't know who our starter is going to be. What's our health situation look like? My assumption is no Haula, no Meyer, no Nosek. That seems to be indication. So expect no Dougie as well. Looking like no Dougie. That's not confirmed yet, but that would be my assumption. Smith slides back down to defenseman. And the guy we just called up begins with an Lafreniere. I wanted to pronounce a whiskey there. I forgot how to say his name. But he likely will tap in for the forward starting position. So we'll see. Jack Nico lines, I think, will continue to crush it. I think that third line, Mikey Holtz, is going to continue to crush it. And that fourth line, hopefully, is not a giant stinker. And the defensive pairings with Smith back in should be interesting. No Dougie. Who moves up? Is it going to be Siegs Luke? Could be. I think Luke might end up getting a career high in time on ice tonight. That would be my assumption. The kid is going to... I would love to see him get 30 minutes. I truly would. Please give me a 30-minute Luke Knight. He could do it. So that'd be great. However, with the string of games here we have coming up, back-to-backs and all that, probably not, but I'd love it. I'd love it. Gonna go ahead and call it here on this one. I don't think I got anything else. So I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. As always and forever, let's go Devils.